she likes me more. Hey, Annie. What's the name of your ship, girly?
Bestie.
Hey, don't be shy now. Don't be shy. Mary, you want to chime in? Do you know? Mary.
Annie, who is your favorite Kardashian?
Jenner's also acceptable.
Bruce? It's Bruce, ain't it?
Oh, who was it? Kim? Chloe?
It's Chloe.
Yeah, Chloe.
It's Chloe.
You know what? That's a good one. Hey, what do you think of the whole Tristan thing?
He's a motherfucker.
Do you think? A little more clear, please. That was the opposite of what I asked.
I think she fought.
Sir.
I prefer
What is
ma'am.
the name? You better shut the fuck up, man. What is the name of your ship? What is the name of your ship?
Is it me?
What?
Am I my favorite one? Because we talking.
What is your father's name?
What's your daddy name?
What is your baby daddy's name?
No, your daddy name.
Your daddy.
You're just
Not
your
baby daddy.
Your daddy.
Regular daddy.
Who is your father?
Who's your father?
Annie, please.
Come on, Annie, make it fun.
I'll tell you something about me.
Paul. Did you hear Paul?
I heard no.
Nope.
I think you do. So, I don't know. You tell me something first. That wasn't very clear.
I think so. What?
Who is your father?
Please. Rocky? That ain't right.
I keep hearing Paul.
What is your father's mistress name?
Your mama.
Twat.
Clyde.
I heard
That's
twat.
why. You need to hear me.
Did I say get out?
I don't think so.
It says get out.
I don't think so. You don't want us to leave, right? You cool with us being here?
What's the significance of
Annie?
her at this place?
What about you, Mary? Anything you want to chime in?
Who is your father's mistress? Who is your father?
Shannon. Hey, Annie, could you be a dear, please, and tell me
What'd you just get?
the name of your band?
What is the name of the plantation?
Nanny Bonanny.
Something easier.
He's here? You chilling with your kid? That's nice. Is your wife here?
What's the name of Calico's ship?
We got like non-invasive and then hey, what doctors are always oh, we got
Tomorrow, tomorrow. I love you tomorrow.
Only
The day away.
Hey, have you seen that movie? What about you, Mary?
Oh. Annie, what do you think about Bruce Jenner?
I feel like she can relate.
What does she think about Bruce Jenner? Or Caitlyn, excuse me.
Animal.
Animal?
It's this though, but I pulled it up for him. It said she died on the 6 days after her baby was born, and then No, walk to the graveyard. We went to the graveyard, and then when he said there was no sign over there, or don't come in or whatever. There was no sign.
Whoa.
So it's
We
kind
have to go to Walmart. I work here.
of alone. Were you alone?
Let's go over here.
How's the lasers coming?
Fantastic.
We're not finding a lot.
Please.
Turn and I got close
Switch
to
with me.
Devin and it went off.
She don't like you. She already said no to you.
No, she loves me. Hey, Annie. We cool, right? Okay, Mary. We cool, right? She done left.
Is it unmuted?
No, actually, it said, yeah, it is. But you said, are you and Mary still cool? And it said yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I just got a word passage. Does that have anything to do with the boat? Passenger?
I'm almost looking at that as a religious term. We're near the church.
Okay.
Or a passage from the Bible.
You said it leans to the left or the right?
Apparently. You can't see it to make it
Maybe
out.
for
It's ridiculous that they
seven.
find out.
Maybe for standing like this.
I mean, it kind of looks like
Seven?
Seven?
Anything else? Just you to me.
I've heard 12 twice.
Sarah, see more about that.
Just got I feel great.
So do I.
I feel great.
7 is definitely relevant. I'm going to actually explain that. I was waiting for that to pop up. It normally does. Anybody else get the number 7? We normally get 2
We
of
got
them.
807.
807? It's a stretch. Boogity boo, what do you got over there?
I'm still waiting for Amy. I'm still off over. Come on, please.
Oh, I could probably start using the lasers for her to show us her hair color. Like go through the color of your hair.
And tell us the color of your hair.
Blue?
Was that you walking down that alley? Was that you, that child?
You want to pop in here real quick? I got one for each of you.
Any other letters over there?
OLZBI or ZBH?
BH?
A little, yeah, we're a little far from sludge.
Baby.
You heard baby?
No.
I like
Oh,
Trying to tell me.
because we got all kinds of terms relative to Sue.
Who's Sue?
The lady in the picture.
I thought I just heard baby. Okay.
Sue.
You got anything else?
Tail.
Nothing.
She was chasing tail.
She was.
Chick was always chasing tail.
One that arrives present.
Informed.
I know you're trying.
There's just like really loud radio static. It just said it was a pattern that they provided me with.
Alright, doesn't seem like anything else is popping in your ears. So here's what I'm excited about. For those of you recording video, feel free to stop it. We can kill the lasers at this point. Like, I'm just pointing that out there. She must have been pretty pissed off. Now, they landed in Georgetown. Dad bought a plantation, Mom died pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Ann down here to be able to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. So this is why we're here. The building is familiar. So again, we don't have any buildings this old. Now, Anne back home in Ireland, kind of a badass chick. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only like 7, 8, 9 years old. Remember, this is pirate lore, those different versions, that with a knife to the belly. So she was pretty young. I just want to give that mentality of the young lady as we kind of go through her history. Fast forward, the building's done in 1713. Pirates are coming through Charlestown in 1715. Anne is stoked. Why? She wants to fall in love so she can earn her freedom just like a man, because it's a man's world. So she falls in love with, well, we'll go with guy number 1. Yes, we're going to keep tally because there's a good handful. This should be a fun story with a group of women in front of me. So guy number 1 turns out to be James Bonney. You already see where this one's going, right? Yeah, I see that yawn over there. It's a long history. James Bonney is a filthy pirate and Dad does not approve. So they run away to Jamaica and they get married. Anne Cormack is now Anne Bonney, the famous female pirate. But this guy is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. Because every young lady wants a Captain Jack Sparrow, right? This guy's a privateer.
Somebody's using lasers on the church.
Yeah, it's a single dot. So yeah, it's one of those power lasers. Like that's actually more powerful than the ones we have. They're pointing out like the way that the steeple leans to the left because of the earthquake.
Oh.
So you can't see it with your naked eye, but they love to point it out, and it's their laser show.
Okay.
Ours are much better, but his is brighter.
Okay.
We're looking for ghosts. He's pointing at things. And with that said, where was I? So, Captain Jack Sparrow. James is a spy. He's a coward in her eyes. This is not who she wants. So she falls in love a couple years later. This guy's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is literally the person they based your Captain Jack Sparrow character off of. So is he the Captain Jack Sparrow she wanted? Yes, he is. Exactly the one. He has his own ship and wants to be part of it. Can't put a girl on a pirate crew. Does anybody know why? Bad luck. Exactly. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and be part of the crew, you can stay on the ship. But you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because it's a man's world and she gets it. So, but let's put two and two together. She's going to be female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl and that Jack let her on the ship. So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby over here. These are friends of mine. They'll help you out and come back later and we'll figure it out. That's basically the gist of what happened. She goes and has the baby but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. And she's also dressed like a female when she comes back, which makes Jack pretty angry. And he captured another pirate crew while she was gone, giving birth to his kid, and they're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting with that pirate crew to make him even more pissed off, because that's what Anne does. We're on guy number 3, in case you lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew the Calico Jack captured. Her name is Mary Reed. Mary Reed went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we're never going to know for sure, but the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships after them to come take down one measly pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates that are not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks. Probably because they don't know how to use the cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. 2 ladies are not going to take on a whole fleet of ships. So, obviously, they get taken over. And as they're being arrested, Anne looks at her captain, her beau, Calico Jack, and she says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up on your spirit boxes quite often here. The judge, his name is Nick as well. If you hear my name, it's usually relative to him. He wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly after he's tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken pirates that wouldn't fight 2 days prior. Anne and Mary go in front and reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. He doesn't care that they're female. They're still pirates. They still plundered his ships and took his money. So he doesn't care. He's going to hang them anyway. "We plead our bellies" was the last thing they screamed out, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail and delays the hanging. Anne's dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary Reed. She has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt ending. I know, but we don't know much about Anne Bonny after her pirate career. There's variations of it. Some say she went to Virginia, some say she stayed here. Mary Reed, she died a year later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Most books and articles will tell you that it was fever, and I'm going to call bullshit. I'm going to say it was probably scurvious and nasty and gross because it was a Jamaican jail. So we're going to make it a very romantic pirate story for you. Now, 2 things I left out, because all of you Spirit Box people know what the hell you're doing by now. We've been together, I would say, probably over 2 hours at this point. Again, I don't keep track of time. With that, the 2 things I left out are the names of Anne Bonny's parents. That's her father and his mistress. You can ask what those names are. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. So, you can ask what that is as well on all your different Spirit Boxes. So, Keely, where are you at?
Right here.
Okay. Right next to you. Your device. This is where you get to use the motion sensor, because you're going to be asking Anne Bonny what her hair color is. The interesting thing about that is that the only way for us to get that answer, she has to touch it. It's red. So, again, that's the only way that we're going to be able to get an answer out of it. I usually leave that one specifically to you, because that's the only time I've ever gotten a red on command has been in this space. So, before I have you all spread out and go wherever you want to go for our last stop, I'm going to keep you for 1 more minute and kind of let you know exactly why I gave that heated warning at the very beginning of the tour. A year ago, September, I brought my group actually back to the wall, about a group of 10 or so. The kid next to me goes white as a ghost before I even start talking. I have to basically stop him from hitting his head on the pavement by grabbing his armpit and picking him up. His boyfriend picked him up from the other side of him. We get him over to that wall over there so he can sit down, because there's a little ledge right there, and he's feeling better after a bottle of water. You're getting the picture. I then told the story I just told you. once I spread everybody out to go play with their devices at the last stop, they pull me aside and say, Nick, we have to tell you, we are 2 transgender males. Meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary in the story, on my tour. So it made complete sense as to why one of them about passed out the minute we entered the space. Again, it was a nice cool night like this. Nobody was overdressed. It wasn't one of those crazy instances, because I would usually debunk. I'll be the first one to say it's humid as hell out here because we're in Charleston. This was in September on a nice night like this. Take that for what it's worth, but psychics and mediums normally don't make it all the way through to the end like this. They usually drop like a wet noodle at the Pinckney Mansion site. So again, I don't know what goes on with psychics, but we normally have crazy EMF spikes start to show up. And they're, again, can't tell you how many times I've had to call the paramedics, and I can't tell you if it was paranormal or not. So it's just one of those pieces. So have some fun with this one. It's crazy pirate lore. What we're going to do, I would say probably stick to, I'm going to be hanging out over there by that wall, which is where we're going to end. Again, lots of vehicles in here. Kind of keep those lasers on the ground for me if you don't mind. If you're going to go to the front of the powder magazine and over here by the cemetery with your cameras, just wait your turn. Wait for those large groups to just go out, out of the way. Again, they don't really know what we're doing out here. Some of the other tour companies are starting to realize like I'm taking a lot of their business, so they're starting to pick up on like what I'm doing versus what they're doing. So we're just going to stay out of their way. And again, we're going to know if this is a hit or a miss within the first 5 minutes. So give yourself like 5 to 8 minutes, and then come find me by the wall, and we'll kind of see what's going on. And if we need to stay longer because there's a lot coming through, then we stay longer. If not, we'll wrap it up and we'll get you guys back to your cars or whatever bar you need to go to so you can not be sober with me. So she's like, yeah. All right, let's have some fun. Let's spread out. Get us lots of pictures if you don't mind. All right, let's do this.
What was her name? Anne? Anne.
Wait, any letters coming up with yours?
I'm trying to talk to these people.
Anne.
Because to be honest with you, I just heard stuff. Apparently you don't mind one. Oh, I won't go there. I won't go there.
You gonna get the fuck away from me.
Who's gonna talk? Yeah.
I don't know. What did it say? Wrapping things up, and the person hands it back to me, and it says pirate, like plain as day, not part of the sentence, not anything. Pirate, no static at all. We had the audio from the thermal imaging camera for the first one. That's the record. We had the recording on the thermal, so that's the right. We all heard it. It was plain as day. Are you kidding me?
You getting anything, Keely?
Nope. I'm on 0. And Anne is wanting to show me her third color.
That's what I got. Sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me. But so I heard. Isn't lasers fun?
So much fun.
What is the name of the
Could you do me a favor and like get in here?
Which is like,
You can bring Mary. I don't know if you guys are so cool or not.
Anne and Mary.
Yeah, they good. Don't ask again.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What is the name of your ship?
What's the name of your ship?
Calico ship. Annie, for me?
Tomorrow. Tomorrow. What is that?
Did you say what?
What is the name of your ship?
no, I gotta walk him over to the second alleyway.
Annie, get up in here. Give me some room.
Let's go over here, back.
Come on, Annie.
Damn, how would you like to have a porch overlooking the graveyard?
No, One of those moments you know you don't make a laugh and you can't fucking stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that. No, it was Becca. That poor child. Where is it? Becca turns it. Oh! I was literally squalling. I was laughing so hard.
And they had like blue hair. And
Are you trying to be a good little girl back there?
Becca, we came in here and we did the ghost tour.
You should have put muzzles on me.
I figured everybody would want to have a little sit down. Alright, so this is like Ghost Tour Central, just so you guys know. That's why I kind of like pick and choose my spots up here. Every tour stops up at that cemetery up there. I'm going to tell you why in a much brief way. By the way, thank you all for showing up sober. This is exactly why I asked you guys if you were all sober at the top of this, because when somebody shows up drunk, I walk away. Like, it's just, I mean, you guys are holding my entire livelihood in your hands right now. I don't need some drunk person walking around getting all kinds of crazy. So, thank you for that. I'm more worried about the two 16-year-olds that were, showed up sober. Of course, now they chuckle. With that said, there's two different cemeteries over on this corner, and every ghost tour stops up right here on the eastern side of St. Philip's. The reason why there's two different sides to the cemetery is because locals, like native Charlestonians, are the only ones that can be buried on this side. So Charles Pinckney, the husband, and Charles Pinckney, the nephew, are both buried on this side because they're from here. Your 7th Vice President, John Calhoun, is buried on the other side because he's not from here. But they actually moved him back and forth several times trying to figure out where the hell he was supposed to go. So they didn't have to exhume him. He's in a sarcophagus. So you can actually just take 8 men and pick him up and move him. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to like get all intimate in everybody's face that way. Like they kept nudging me. But anyway, but the reason why they're all over there is because there's a sign right inside the gate. It says, "There's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost." So they don't want people like us with all of our crazy cameras and gizmos trying to recreate what happened there. So, quick story of this, of how it actually goes. They make it some big elaborate thing. 1888, a young lady dies by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. So that's exactly why I was asking you for SHH, because her initials, even before we had that device, would show up on yours. We've heard it. Some people, like I said, the teenagers get tired of listening to me, so they put in both earbuds, and then they say, "Somebody just shished me," that kind of mentality. So again, it happens all the time, and SHH is a common thing that we get here. But anyway, she dies 6 days after her stillborn child. Very sad story. It's very quick and abrupt. But in 1987, a local photographer was taking pictures of all of our cemeteries. He captures an apparition in one of his photographs as he's developing them. The apparition is why they're all up there trying to recreate it. But it's 1987, and this guy has no idea what to do with the photograph because he doesn't have the tech that we have now. So he sends it to Kodak. Kodak doesn't know what to do with the picture besides authenticate it of the fact that nothing is wrong with the picture, that it is a legitimate picture taken with that style of camera. So for guys like me, this picture is gold. Like, it's in like the top 50 of apparitions caught on camera, but it is cursed to females. So there are 11 females tonight. Here's how this is going to go. I'm going to show you guys 2 by 2 what this picture looks like, but if you handle it even in a digital format like a tablet or a phone, it is said you'll get the same symptoms we talked about at the beginning. So that's the headache, the nausea, the dizziness. Pregnant females are probably not going to have a good pregnancy based on the gist of the stillborn baby in the story. I'm not going to be the guy where there was a great vacation and then 9 months later I cursed somebody's family. In the event that we get something relative to this story, and I have to give you some kind of evidence link to it. If the photograph is in that link, I will put warning, this link has a cursed photo. So that way you guys don't click it by accident on your phones, because that does happen. We are going to let the corgi come through. We cannot.
The grand entrance.
Look at the corgi dog. Look at the corgi dog.
Wow.
He got a dog.
I have 3 miniature dachshunds, so when I hear the little pitter patter, I have to move. That's just kind of how I roll. So anyway, let's kind of go through this photo real quick, and then we're going to go discuss pirates. I told you, this corner is crazy, especially on Friday nights, and it is still like wedding season for us, so there's a lot going on. This is a cool photo. Also keep in mind, this is probably another instance where the baby is buried with the mother. I cannot find the records through the church of when this baby was born or where he was buried. When she was buried. I don't know what the gender was either. So, full photograph. Looking at a woman praying over her own grave. The baby basket, even when you zoom in on it on a computer, you can see the weaving of the basket. Like, it's pretty detailed.
When was this taken?
1987.
That was crazy.
So this is the full picture that he took. You're looking at a woman praying over her own grave and a baby basket next to her. So again, that's what they're all doing. This is their one show and tell, and I just kind of let all the other ghost tours have it. I mean, you can even see like normal crowds are just kind of going up there. I don't think that's an actual tour. I think it's just a bunch of drunken dudes. So again, they're all going up there because everybody knows the story. So.
Do you ever get any like ghost like stuff from John C. Calhoun?
Yeah, in the month of March.
Is that his birthday?
Birthday and death date.
Oh, he died on his birthday.
No, just in March.
Oh.
I want to say. What do you got going on? Racial showed up here. Actually, I think it was racism showed up here last night when we were near Calhoun, and he was known for his racial views. We'll just put it out there like that, and I think that's exactly how I worded it in their notes. But again, we've been getting more and more around Calhoun. It just depends on, like I said, the month of March I normally bring him up, but until something else pops up, that's usually when I bring it up, like a little bit more full. Malice is good, but not specific enough for me. So again, we're going to see if something else pops up with that malice.
Did anything like when they took his statue down, like was there like any big readings you got then?
Nothing really specific. And to be honest with you, I wasn't really studying that until I started seeing like his name specifically. Like I would see John, and then hear the word C, so it was like John C, because it's John C. Calhoun. Middle name was Caldwell. So again, it was just I just started diving into it when I noticed there was a lot of activity, and it just so happened to be the month of March. So we were getting his death date, his birth date, all kinds of things were starting to pop up.
Okay.
But yeah, that was it was very interesting to kind of start to see things like that.
Yeah.
I think we're going to try to sneak into my little private location over there so we can go discuss this crazy pirate story and kind of see what happens, get away from all this madness. Any tourism officers want to come over, I'll just say I'm getting away from all of the drunken idiots. So you guys are not drunken idiots. Thank you for that again. Lexi, good job. You kept your team together. All right, let's go across the street. We're going to I get to keep the bag down because this is our last stop, and I get to get a little animated with the little story. So, lots of vehicles in here. So when we start to spread out, after I give you the history of the location, you'll be able to go to the front of the powder magazine. You'll be able to go to across the street to that cemetery to go check out the sign if you want to. Like, we're going to be spread out quite a bit in here. Lasers will be in full effect once we get rolling here. So finally you get to go back to work. We're going to be discussing that little tiny building over there with the crosses on it. The reason why is because it's what I call a familiar to Anne Bonny. This building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny was coming here. First off, I want to point out that those are not crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. Earthquake bolts, if you're unfamiliar with those, it's basically a turnbuckle. It goes all the way through the roof to the other side. In the event we have another earthquake, like what we did in 1886, you can turn those turnbuckles, and it's supposed to straighten the building back up again. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So, again, don't be too impressed with it. The reason I bring those up is because it's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in, because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. Our story with Anne begins right in the middle of its construction in 1708. So, follow me, there's a lot of twists. 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? Perfect. So, the three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. So how mad was she? So the same thing goes with your camera. We don't want to film the other groups around us. So if they leave, by all means, I want to get some footage going down. What's that?
It's not illegal.
It's not. They did not pay to get filmed. Yeah.
They're in public.
They are. It's just one of those pieces. Trust me, our tickets that we can get from the tourism office can be pretty hefty, like a few $100s if a complaint comes through. So again, we're using crazy equipment that no other tour in America uses, and if we start YouTubing people, that's when it gets a little hairy for me. So they're all going to be leaving here shortly anyway. Now, we're all telling the same story. I'm just going to put it right out there. I will tell you that I'm going to tell it a lot differently because we're ghost hunting. You're not going to get the campfire ghost story from me. So we're not sitting around a campfire, and we're going to hopefully get a little spooky. You're ghost hunting. So if you want to listen to your spirit box, because the story might be a few minutes long, by all means, listen. Anybody want to volunteer to listen to kind of see what's going on? Like nobody wants to do it. That's funny. Alright. So, welcome to Philadelphia. This place used to be called Dueler's Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. Again, we're all telling the same damn story, but here's how it goes, my version. A doctor moved down here from Rhode Island. Is there a weird smell that passed by? Say with like holding your nose.
That child scared that one.
I mean, look at her. She just came up right here.
She was a little scary. Yeah, she's with you. Did y'all not see her?
I saw her.
Oh, okay. I saw her.
No, Becca turned around and said, oh.
Oh my god.
Alright.
Okay.
Back to the doctor. The doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She's an attorney helping her out with this cash flow. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. So by the way, the doctor's full name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. His name shows up here a lot. But anyway.
What's the last name?
Ladd. L-A-D-D. So he moves to Charleston to prove that he's not just after Amanda's money. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a good start to his stay in Charleston, but somebody was walking by, saw the whole thing about to go down. His name was Ralph Isaacs, who she comes again. Try to hold it together over there. I stop on.
Can you start the story?
You want me to start from scratch?
Yes. I'm lost.
A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name's Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves here because he's supposed to get married. His fiancée Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. The attorney that's handling that money for her thinks that Dr. Ladd's just after her cash. So he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. So he moves to Charleston to prove that he's not after her money. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed, but somebody was watching the whole thing, a local, and seeing what was about to go down. His name was Ralph Isaacs. I stop on Ralph is because he has the same initials, R.I., as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. So again, R.I. shows up here a lot, but we need a secondary clue so we know who it belongs to. It's two different characters. Ralph tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. This guy's going to try to kill you. I know him, but I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there, and you'll be good to go. Now, Dr. Ladd's tickled pink. He takes him up on the offer, and the two become friends. The longer the doctor stays here in Charleston, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he wasn't after Amanda's money. So, Amanda's moving down soon, and they're going to get married. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. Every haunted city you're ever going to visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. I'm going to vet all of your paychecks on it, because they all have one. There's actually proof of this one, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. Him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. That's just the way the hierarchy goes here in Charleston. Now, They talk about these plays on the way home. They saw Richard III one night from Shakespeare and are discussing the new actress. The doctor thought that she was fantastic, Ralph not so much. They start arguing about it, and then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiance back home in Rhode Island. It obviously gets very ugly, and they go their separate ways. Ralph is from here, at least has a lot of friends here. He has friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a disgrace to society kind of thing. Dr. Ladd sees the newspaper ad, but rebuttals with, let's go to Doyle's Alley. We're going to settle this once and for all. So they came down, they took their 10 cases, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to, have the courage and bravery to go through the fight. But Ralph, he has his one shot, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. He falls to the ground, his friends pick him up and carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. You have to remember he's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed out this bullet himself. The campfire ghost story part of this is as you walk through the alley, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. Without all of these other tours here, it is super quiet. So, again, it's just weird that, I don't know what's with this weekend, but I am jammed full all weekend long. That means the other tours are probably going to be doing the same thing. Most nights during the week, this place it's just me and whatever group I have, and it's completely quiet. We're using a voice recorder right now, so hopefully there might be a whistle in the background. I want you to keep in mind, if you're going to come down here later and try this for yourselves and use the voice recorders on your phones, every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street throws a whistle down the alley as they pass by. I do it every single night. We're going to end over here. My garage is over there. I have to pass the alley in order to get to my car. So I always throw a whistle, especially since I got booted out of here. Let's talk about that, because that's the fun part of the story, right? So, this alley didn't always go all the way through. It used to be where they held the livestock for the city of Charleston. So that means that the bricks on that side, on the Queen Street side, are older. Those bricks were sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint and fingerprint swipes in those bricks down there. And the handprint, you can definitely see, is that of a child. Now, I always pointed that out because I'm sure you guys picked up I'm all about the history, right? So that's kind of how I do things. But it's one of those pieces where that kid's not staring at the brick in the afterlife. Like, everybody wants to try to get a reading out of it. I treat it just like a grade. So, one night, November 26th, my entire group decided to huddle around that one brick, trying to get a reading out of it with, Keeley's device, a spirit box. I'm trying to hurry them along because it's outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. And it's residential, and I truly don't know my bounds at this point when I'm just starting doing this tour. So, he came out screaming because he got tired of my groups coming out every single night, hanging outside of the dining room. And my daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at. We moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I didn't do a tour that night because I worked in retail management for over 20 years. And for Walmart, no less. I am never working another Thanksgiving in my life. So, the next day was November 28th. Yes, these dates are relevant. I'm getting to it. I get a phone call asking me to go down halfway, which is what we're allowed to do because it's residential on the other side, or reroute my group. I told my group, we're going to reroute because I don't think it's fair for my group of 10 to try to work around 20 to 60 people and spread out. They understood, but I also told them I didn't believe in the story that we were going to next. I'm a vampire person, not a pirate guy. Told them we were about to discuss pirates at the next location, and I didn't really know much about it, and we were going to wing it. They were good with it. Let's do this. So before we left, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. You hear pirates, you automatically think Lefty. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating the female pirate, Anne Bonny. So I went, oh shit. Yeah, let's see what's going to happen now. We get up there, I told what little bit I did know about piracy once we got up to the location. Somebody else hears the number 300. I don't know what that means until I'm doing the research the next day. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I went, damn it. Now I got to learn about pirates. I've read more books on pirates than I've ever wanted to in my lifetime, trying to piece together a factual investigation based off of pirate lore. It's a good thing I have a master's degree in writing that I can be able to piece this together for y'all. Now, with that being said, everything we're going to be discussing at the next location, if we're going to be even able to get in there, it's one of those spaces that's kind of sketchy if we're allowed to go or not. And that's why I told you about the tourism officers out last night. I was not able to go in there for a long period of time. So we're going to see how this goes. We're going to let this couple pass through. Excuse us, guys.
Excuse us.
So, everything you're about to learn about this pirate story, it came from a minimum of 2 resources of every little sentence that we're about to go through. I will also tell you that it's a hit or miss location. We either get a ton or nothing. It's just one of those spaces. Now, as far as Pinckney Mansion, really, buddy, learn how to grab that stick. Did I say that out loud? I did. And it's recorded. Awesome. So, where was I? Oh,
The mansion.
the mansion was really light. So I'm just going to put that out there. So I'm always honest with you guys. I'm not Zach Bagans. I'm not going to make shit up for you guys. That's just not why you're out. Oh, cool. So when we pass, like we go through the end of this alley, look to your left. You're going to see a gate. The reason why that gate is there is because it was the shortcut to get to the cemetery behind me when there was a loser to the duel. Remember, the alley didn't go all the way through this way. Otherwise, they'd have to go all the way down the alley, as you can all see how long it is, walk around Queen Street with a dead body to be able to go drop it at the cemetery. So we are going to kind of loop around and go check out the cemetery real quick and check out that area, and then we're going to go into that pirate lore. I want to kind of scope the space before we go sneaking around where we might not be allowed to go. So, again, I've been going there for the past how many years now, and all of a sudden the tourism officers are out, like, looking to ticket. So, let's go have some fun with it. I know, right?
I want to make some spooky season.
That kid, that was hilarious.
No, look at the kid.
No! There's a child.
We're going in the cemetery.
I want to ask him if he has heard anything about the Murdoch stuff.
I'll direct you with the lasers.
Is there a laser law because of the airport?
There's a laser law because it could blind somebody and make them crash.
Oh. Gotcha.
Yeah, those things will shoot all the way down the road.
Yeah.
I think they're pointed in the wrong direction. Alright, so we're going to stop here.
Okay.
I'm going to actually stage you like dead center.
Okay.
But I want you facing the opposite way. I'm going to have
Here?
you stand like on that wall and point one of your lasers directly at this wall and make sure it doesn't go in the window. But basically what we're doing here, somebody needs to pass through like another tour. So with UR7, if you can mute it, Greyhorn, in a quiet space, I'm sorry, you're the only noisy one. But basically, in a nutshell, if somebody needs to pass through, we will split the C's to let them pass through, and then of course the lasers will go off. So, but what we're doing here is the hope here is as we're here talking about the history of it, something might actually pass through it, and we'll be able to capture the whole thing on film. Sarah's also filming that way, which is kind of cool, so we might be able to see something in a cold anomaly at the same time. So this turned really serious for some of you. I was thinking about it along the way here. I'm like, why you guys like really quieted down? Like, holy shit, this guy really takes this out here. So, yeah, this is what I do all day long, guys. Like, it's literally like this is a career. I do write books about fiction, but fiction things about the afterlife and different versions of it. But all the inspiration comes from legitimate ghost hunting. So that's why I do other, not just horror, but I do go to other places too. So, what is this place? By the way, I didn't ask. What did you guys hear and see in your spirit boxes?
Understand your frustration.
Understand your frustration. Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Huge storm.
Huge storm.
She got stabbed.
Stab?
Like S-T-A-B.
Yeah, like past tense. Like it's like somebody was stabbed here. I don't have to write hers down since it's doing it for me. Large. So you understand your frustration. And big storm. Was that what it was? Huge storm. Thank you.
And Leroy.
Huh?
And Leroy.
Who heard Leroy? Yeah.
Save a horse, ride a cowboy.
Okay. She got stabbed, cocaine, poverty, and bark.
Poverty is good. And bark is good. Kind of. Like it's not a stretch, but I definitely like the poverty level. So when we cross that last crosswalk coming down East Bay Street, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. That means you're standing on one of the first streets we ever had. People used to live here. These two giant buildings that we are looking at right now, they weren't here. Little tiny shotgun houses. These people lived in poverty. I have a full list of every single resident that's ever lived down here. You guys always tell me the same two names every 6 to 7 weeks. Those two names are Benjamin and John. So you guys didn't tell me those names tonight, but it doesn't mean that they're not in your spirit box recordings somewhere. So hopefully we're going to be able to find it. Now, we are in week 1 of that 6 to 7 week loop, so I wasn't necessarily expecting it, but then again, I never know what's actually going to occur because this is a very odd space. Benjamin and John both lived here at the same time. His initials will show up now that we have the Ouija board device. We did get him last night, so EH did show up. And John likes to give us his last name because there were 4 different Johns that lived down here at different times. His last name, and yes, his mother was evil, named him John Johnson. So we will get John, Johnson, and Benjamin all in the same evening. I have nothing else relevant other than they lived here at the same time. Here's why this is happening. You're standing on Belgian blocks, these bricks that you're standing on. They've been here since at least 1739 that we know of. The historians still can't even get it right. Now, very good. Now, as far as the bricks go, they're made out of granite. The stone tape theory basically states that any natural stone that's been in the same place for a few hundred years or a long period of time can hang on to the memories of the things that occurred there. You have the word staff. I'm going to see if I actually can find the word staff somewhere out of that history of this location. I don't know that I've ever had that show up here, but it is something new for me to dive into. But again, I can't necessarily prove it just yet, but I will tell you that the bricks we're standing on are not supposed to have an electrical charge. So Kaylee, I want you to literally set your device, don't worry about the antenna, on any brick you choose, and we're going to see if we get a reading above 1.1. So you can do the same thing with yours as well. We did get a 15 out of yours last night and a 5. So what do we have going on? Again, up to 1.1 is natural from the earth. She got all the way up to, she's about a 15, is what we had here last night. But you had a 6.5, was it? Mm-hmm. So again, anything above 1.1 I kind of get excited about. Again, these bricks are not supposed to have any kind of electrical charge. So does that mean anything's going on with your devices? I don't know yet. I haven't spot checked them to see what's actually going on. The other weird thing of why I like to come down here is because the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, which is where the alley gets its name from, Lodge Alley. So the funny thing is those of you with red spirit boxes or earbud spirit boxes, you normally will hear the word Illuminati on the way in here. Yeah, very funny term to hear on the radio. That's my whole point. 6 times last year, 3 times this year, before anybody even knew anything about the Freemasons having their Masonic lodge here. And it is funny because who the hell's talking about the Illuminati on the radio?
Yeah.
The second thing is why are we only hearing it while we're in this space? The only time we've ever had it. So take that for what it's worth. We'll get other words wrapped around them. So we'll get like Mason, symbols, founding fathers. Like we will get those kind of terms in this space. But I don't like to go into conspiracy theories with this because we're ghost hunting. But we will get those kind of terms wrapped around the Freemasons. This isn't a lengthy stop. Remember, this is not a space where we're going to stop and ask questions and hopefully get answers. It's a matter of like almost stalling for a few minutes just to see what's going to come up on your devices or if any anomalies want to move through the lasers for us. The next space we're going to is another alley. It is a staple of Charleston. We may start to see other bigger tours in that alley and may even need to pass through us. But the cool thing about this alley is I can't take you all the way through it like what we're doing here. I've been kicked out. We have laser lights, we have the noisemakers, the blinkies, you guys are getting it. It is considered residential on the other side, so we're going to stay definitely on the one side, and it is kind of a crazy story, but things happen from that space all the way through the rest of our time together because we're going to be close enough where we're going to start getting a little bit of bleed over. Did we hear anything else while we were been here? Or see anything else that popped up on your like S-U-N or S-O-N? Sun and staff. Again, it sounds like there's a story in there that I just never found before, so we'll see what I can dig up. If nothing shows up out of that, there just won't be any notes for it, just so you know. It's not that I won't dive in. It's if I didn't find anything, I'm not going to highlight it that I didn't find anything. I just won't put anything there at all. I am excited about the reading that we got out of the brick. It's slow, but we actually have gotten 15s out of this from Keely's device in the past. Again, we're in a space with the electricity is in the buildings, not on the ground. As we exit this space, those of you with video cameras, you're going to stop your videos when we exit because we're cutting through a neighborhood to get to the next alley. And we don't record people's houses. Lasers, we're going to definitely keep them off once we get into the next alley. We'll kind of see what goes on there. If we have other tours passing by, we'll see if we're actually going to use them. I haven't used it in there in quite a while because I haven't even been going in that alley because I got booted out a few years ago. And yes, I will tell you the story of how I got kicked out because it's actually part of the tour of how we go to the next space after that. So, any other weird questions about like the stone tape theory or anything? Or did anybody else hear anything before we move on?
I'm getting a shit ton of different letters.
What do you got?
I'm not just kidding. It's like Q, H, Y, Z, L. Brandon.
So from from here moving forward, let me know if you get the initials RI in consecutively. So that one's definitely relevant to the next space. We've been getting that one a lot. Or SHH. So those are definitely, yeah, exactly. Definitely relevant to the next two spaces that we're going to. So those will start to show up. We did get a BH here last night for Benjamin Hopkins. I was excited about that, but the SH showed up 2 nights ago, and I was like, oh, we actually have it. So again, very interesting indeed. But that's what you're going to be looking for with that one. Again, initials pretty much moving forward. All right, let's head up to the next alley. Let's go see what we can find at that one.
Oh, that's cute. So do you live here in Charleston?
I live like an hour inland.
Oh, okay.
You need the laser?
Yeah.
Way too expensive to live down here. And let's face it, I leave the house for 2 hours a night.
Yeah.
I don't mind the hour drive. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's tap it really fast. It's recording right now. So,
Okay.
Again, if you want to just record me, we'll see if any orbs start to flow up around me. We don't need lasers and all of that right now. She's like, damn,
It's a laser show.
So that is like one of the reasons why I also like leave that as the last device to pull out, because again, we can't use them in every single space. So let me explain the EMF readings that we are getting at Achilles' device and Shannon's device. So we had a 25. Obviously, you guys seen it go to red while we were standing here, and then we got all the way up to a 22 with the more accurate device closer to that silver vehicle over there. So what the hell do those readings actually mean? Now, those are measuring electricity in the air, like I mentioned before. So the best way to explain it is kind of think of your television set in your living room, right? So you got a bunch of wires plugged into the back. If you were to put Keeley's device behind your TV, it's going to read about 40 to 60 milliamps. So that kind of gives you an idea of what that 22 would mean in this location where there's no electricity. If you stand next to a microwave that's running on high with Keeley's device, it's going to read about 150 to 170 milligauss. That's pretty high readings. The highest I've ever seen that device go has been in this space at 214 milligauss. I will tell you, we left. Like, it is one of those pieces where I'm a guy with seizures. I do have epilepsy. I don't play around with electricity in the air and the neurological disorder that I have. So again, we got the hell out of here really, really fast. So I have had it go all the way up to 197 at the St. Augustine Lighthouse, if you're familiar with that place. So like that was kind of and it errored out. Like I went to 197, said error. I left the room and came back in, did the exact same thing over again. Like what the hell is going on? So again, that thing can be, over 200 very easily. So I always like to explain that first. I am excited that my name showed up and the fact that you heard hi, like a hello, when we were over here. So I do get hi Nick in this location all the time on different types of spirit boxes. We had the name Gina show up. I don't know what that means yet. It was spelled G-E-N-A, not G-I-N-A, the traditional way. I do have a sister named Gina. I don't know if I brought somebody with me tonight. So again, it is one of those weird things we never know. Somebody might just be letting me know who's actually here. Those of you listening to spirit boxes, you probably struggled a little bit because you've never done this before. That's why I spot check everything. And I only go through one recording, obviously. So let's go through the rest of these answers. Yes, I talk a lot. You guys are all staring at me like, wow, does this guy ever shut up? No, I don't.
What was Eliza's initials?
ELP.
I have an E-O.
All together? Are they in a row? So you have like...
What do you mean they're
like E... Yeah, they're not. You have EP out. And there's like 3 or 4 letters. Right. So I would be more excited if they were in that correct order. Whenever I break out the tablet, you guys don't need to huddle around. I will go around the room. This is Eliza Lucas Pinckney. This is the second wife that we discussed.
I kept hearing Luke Bryan's songs, so that's kind of...
It's kind of a stretch.
Okay.
Unless you heard the name Luke Bryan, then I would be more excited.
Okay, no.
See? This is why you guys keep me around. Eliza Lucas. This is the one who married at a young age. That age was 22. Charles was 45. So 22 and 45 were the ages that I normally look for here. It's better than 12 and 25, so we'll take the 22. The first wife, her maiden name was Lamb. So Eliza Lamb Pinckney. I told you it was ELP on both of them. Who had questions about what happened to the mansion? Somebody had questions about what happened to the mansion.
Oh, yeah, we were.
So this is the only picture of the mansion that we actually have. This is exactly where you're standing right now. This is after the Great Fire of 1861. At times, we will get the full date along with the word fire or anything relative to fire. So flames, blaze, hot. Like
Y'all guys
that's-
drop it like it's hot? Excuse me?
No, he said
I use that as an
Oh.
example
Oh.
because we have heard that in a space and had the full date show up, which would have been December 11th of 1861. Sometimes it shows up as December 11th, sometimes it's 12/11/61. We never know how it's actually going to show up among your spirit boxes. Every tour in town is going to tell you about a great fire. I promise you. We've had dozens of them, which is exactly why we're one giant cemetery. The fire that took out the mansion, I'm going to go and show you the map of Charleston. You're standing on the little tiny green dot on the right-hand side of this map. The orange is obviously the fire. This literally went from one side of the peninsula to the other. So this was a giant fire. This was about $5 to $9 million worth of damage in 1861. Don't ask me what the hell that equates to today, because inflation changed again this morning, I'm sure. So, the children. Who had the children questions? Was that you? So there were 4 children grand total. Charles, we already talked about, signer of the Constitution. The next child is Thomas. We didn't get anything relative to Thomas, but I'm going to tell you the things that I normally find around him. He fought in a Revolutionary War battle and shot in his left leg and captured by the British. When he was released from the British, he was left on a cane the rest of his days. So almost every picture or painting of him shows him with a cane over his lap, and his left leg is always hidden in the photograph. So in the event something shows up around the name Thomas, those are normally the things. So left leg, shot, British. Camden has even showed up in the past. Actually, it was on the word list. It was the weirdest thing I'd never seen. I didn't even know what it was. If it was just a name, so it turned up with the name Thomas. That's how actually I learned about it. The next child is one I asked us all not to poke the bear with. Baby George. You can already see where this one's going. Baby George didn't make it. Here's a couple of weird things about Baby George. He doesn't have a grave. He doesn't have a headstone. It is a great possibility due to the times that he was mummified and kept right here in the home, waiting for his mother to pass away so he could be buried with her. So it's a great possibility that George's corpse was here for a good 40-some years. We're going to get into Eliza's death, and it's going to get even more weird. One more child. Her name was Harriet. She married Daniel Horry. Horry County is Myrtle Beach area. That's 2.5 hours car ride for us north of here. Wouldn't have been a car ride for Eliza. Lots of letter writing. So in the event Harriet does show up here, we normally get terms like quill, ink, paper. You kind of get the gist. All letter writing. It's very seldom. We would normally find Harriet up in the Myrtle Beach area. Not necessarily here, but she has shown up here in the past. Eliza's death. So those were your questions, right, Courtney? So Eliza was 70 years old when she passed away in 1793. First off, 70 is a long time to be living during colonial times, especially for a female. So kudos to Miss Eliza. She was going to Philadelphia, getting treatments for whatever they thought she had. Turned out to be breast cancer. We didn't know what the hell breast cancer was in 1793. We're going based off her medical records today. She died in Philadelphia. She's buried in Philadelphia. That should raise 2 questions in the back of all of your minds. First off, if she's up there, what the hell are we doing down here? Oh, we're getting to George. Yeah, that was the next question. Good call. But if she's up there, what are we doing down here? I don't take you to actual cemeteries. Charleston's one giant cemetery anyway. Not to mention, none of you are going to hang out where you're buried when you're gone. You're going to go to your mansions 400 miles away, which is exactly why I chose the spaces that I did when I designed this. The other question is George. You're correct. If my theory is true, because you can't Google mummied baby, and by the way, and not expect a phone call from somebody, but if my theory is true about George, they would have transported him from this space all the way to Philadelphia by horse and carriage. It's kind of a creepy thought, isn't it? Imagine that driver having a corpse in the back of that wagon for days, because I'm sure it wasn't just a quick ride up there. So, kind of a creepy thought. She died in 1793. Who wants to take a guess at who the president was that was the pallbearer for her funeral? It's good that you can't answer. I'll explain why. Washington, at his own request, wanted to pay homage to Eliza for her indigo. He knew the Pinckneys pretty well because most of the Pinckneys were politicians, and he knew his governors pretty well because, let's face it, he only had 13 of them. But he knew Eliza based on her indigo, and it helped get our country started. So when she passed away, he made it a point to go be a pallbearer at her funeral. So very big deal. Here's why it's actually good that you couldn't answer. When we got here, I told y'all I'm not going to give you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like we did with the big red barn over there. I subliminally put George Washington in the back of all of your brains, waiting to see who's going to spit off the answer, and you all passed with a fail. You even gave me the wrong answer, so kudos to all of you. So that's actually a good thing. I'm actually usually pretty excited because sometimes somebody just wants to spout off everything I'm saying. So this way I kind of get to know like who's going to be that person, and I try to swap them out with a different spirit box. So you all passed with a fail, guys. That's supposed to be a joke. You guys are like so serious. Like, wow, I gotta lighten this up a little bit.
We're intrigued.
I know,
Yeah.
right? I'm the one who's supposed to be taking it seriously. You guys are out here on a bachelorette party, supposed to be having a great general time. Alright, so this space is an intelligent ghost. We can ask questions and get answers. The next space we're going to is not that way. It works completely different. It's a residual ghost. In a nutshell, it's basically on a loop. We're going to be hopefully capturing something within that loop. We're a little bit outside of the peak time of when I find things for that loop, but I never know what's actually going to pop up. So here's how this is going to go. Lasers, you're out of the game for a little while. I will direct you once we get into the dark alley. So, oh, yeah, dark alley. As soon as I say that, everybody lightens up, right? So, video cameras, you are not going to be recording anything until we get into the dark alley. When we make the right on the cobblestones, turn those cameras back on again. EMF detectors. Keely, turn off the motion accompanying item to go along with it. So, we're the besties out of this group. Anybody like here best friends with another person? Alright, so which one's, who's Becca? Yeah, we'll do it this way. So, that one's going to go to you.
Okay.
And why I say like there's an accompanying item with that, it's actually two. So let's kind of get those out of the way. Becca, these are obviously going to go to you, so you might want to listen up because there's a lot of rules with these.
Oh.
This is the this is the neuralizer for Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything by the time we're done. Another joke, ladies. Come on. Have some fun. That's the whole point. I know. Lasers.
Oh.
We're going to be working with lasers to detect motion in the camera that I just handed you. So you can't see the lasers until something passes through it. So when something does pass through it, it lights up like a Christmas tree inside that camera. So in the event we actually capture a piece of motion going through the lasers, I'll give you the still, and the nice thing is we're going to be working with two of them. So two of them is because in the event something shows up here, I'll give you the still and put it in 3D software and give us the full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements that came through it. So I've had this guy for about a year now, and the software hasn't been able to take anything yet because everything's been a slightly too big, blurry for the 3D software to be able to take. So Becca, with yours, there is a laser law in Charleston. These are not always going to be safe in every location. I will always let you know, but you always keep them pointed down. Make sure they're close to your toe. So this one has a toggle switch, so be careful. Once it's on, it's on. You don't want to be waving it around. So this one, you actually have to hold on. So kind of get used to how that guy goes. It's already pointed down. And then this one is pointed down as well. So that way you can kind of get a gist of how those actually turn on. I say we get into spirit boxes. That's what everybody wants to do, right? The communication. Let's talk to some ghosts. More boogity boogity. They don't say boogity boogity the way we do it. So, spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. If you're not familiar with the TV shows and the YouTube videos, this is basically the white noise that they use, and hopefully a disembodied voice is going to come through, and Zach Bagans gives you that stupid thing he heard and tries to convince you of the same thing. We're going to be doing this in real time. However, with that, as far as disembodied voices, I capture about 4 or 5 of those a year, not 12 an episode. So there are other methods to be able to use these guys with. One of those other methods is to actually slow the radio sweeping down so the radio chatter actually comes through. What does that do? You're going to hear song lyrics, DJs, commercials. It's a 50-50 shot that if we can make out what they're saying, we can tie it to the location of where we are, a person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of you. You guys bring ghosts to me all the time. We never know. So basically, the person who's going to be using this is going to actually have an earbud in their ear. They're going to be the only person to hear it in real time. The cool thing is it's recording the entire session. So I'll be recording. I'm getting names mixed up. Susie? Yeah. All right, so Susie's going to have an earbud in. I'm going to be recording. I'm going to be writing down whatever she hears, but I'm also going to spot check it tomorrow morning. So that way, you guys actually get the recording along with both sets of notes. So, Susie, I don't want earbuds back. Earwax is gross.
All right.
So, undo your twist tie for those, and then your volume is right here. It's the wheel. I'm just making sure it's turned all the way down. So that one goes to you. I do have 2 of these, so this one will not record. If I give you guys 4 hours of white noise and radio chatter, somebody's going to hunt me down and kill me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, boogity boogity over there, this one's going to go to you.
Boogity boogity.
So, again, earwax is gross. You get to keep those. Your volume is right here, the wheel. I'm turning it all the way down. So pop one of those in your ear and kind of get used to how that volume works out. Let's see. The next spirit box. This one we don't actually have to listen to. It's actually going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen. So just like your TV shows, it gives you that ovulus. This one actually has 4 times the amount of words in its dictionary. That's what I love about it so much. So it's going to give us a big giant grab bag of things to be able to sift through, and about 80% of this is going to be absolute garbage. I'm just going to put it out there right now. It's the other 20% that's going to be relevant to the space, the person, one of us. You guys get the gist of that. The cool thing is that it saves all of those words to a list, and we'll be able to scroll through it and it has timestamps on everything. So I know exactly where we are, where to listen to a video, where to listen to a recording, so forth and so on. I'm going to clear out that list and start us off fresh. Last night's group had 112 terms show up in 2 hours. Normally the average is about 75. So they had one of the more active investigations I've seen in a while, so hopefully we get the same thing tonight. Janie, was it? Ha! Got another one. So this one's going to go to you. I don't want to see every word that pops up, otherwise we're going to be out here until tomorrow night. So I will come to you when I want to see the word list and we'll go through it together. Yeah, there's no dog nearby. Don't get excited. Let's see. Told you, we're going to be using lots of different types of communication devices. So the next spirit box, the cool thing about this one is it's going to sweep through both FM and AM radio stations at the same time and try to take out the white noise in between the words that are going to come through. Hopefully what we get out of this guy is only going to be words. That is the hope. We only get about 10 to 12 terms that pop out of this guy throughout the entire evening, but this is probably the most accurate spirit box that I have. It's about 75% accurate. Whatever we hear out of it is usually relative to the space, the person, one of us. So with that, Devin, I think I'm going to go with you on this one. So the way she's like, oh, I don't know, man. That's like, it's going to get even worse. Don't worry. We got other. This guy, the blinking lights are the top. The only thing you need to worry about is where the mute button is, because you're going to have the only open air spirit box. That's the button on the right-hand side for you. It's the only button there. We're going to keep it on mute for now because we're going to be near Pony soon, and I don't like to spook the horses. Aha, the brand new device. So I've had this guy maybe less than a month, roughly 4 or 5 weeks. So this is brand new to the market. They just designed this guy. And what is it doing? It is basically a digital Ouija board. Yeah. So digital Ouija board is usually the one I throw out that word Ouija board. It's not called that, but when I call it that, that's when I get the same reaction. So what it's doing is any kind of electricity in the air that's going to have a fluctuation, it's going to stop the cursor on a letter and save it to the bottom row. So hopefully what we're going to be able to get out of this guy are initials, anagrams, full words spelled out, full names spelled out. We never know what's actually going to pop up out of it. It has not been that productive from the beginning, but it has been getting better and better with each week that goes on. So, Lexi, this one's actually going to go to you anyway, so look at you. You got super excited. I see that shitty grin on your face. I'm like, yeah, this one's going to her. So with this one, I have the sensitivity kind of turn like back a little bit. It's not a full force yet. But again, I think the first letter we have is the letter G. G is your middle name?
Grace.
I'll be more excited when it comes up with Grace. Fair? That one goes to you. I'll show you more about that one at the next stop as well, because it's got a few tweaks we need to do to it throughout the evening. Wow, you guys are really getting all my stuff tonight. The lasers are usually the last thing that I bring out in a tour, just because there is that laser line Charleston. So again, it's always the last thing I bring out. Alright, so this spirit box, again, is going to be doing the same thing that Devins is doing, but it does have an earbud. So, again, we can't mess with the volume on this one. Let's see, who do I have left? Look at you looking around like, alright, so name.
Cougar on the hood.
Cougar.
Kelsey and Keely.
Kelsey and Keely. Kelsey? So, this one's going to go to you.
Okay.
You can't mess with the volume, so in case you get like too much out of it, you got to just pull the earbud in and out all night long. So again, this one's going to go to you. You don't need to hit anything. It's literally just the earbud in and out. And again, your earwax is first too. Sorry, but that one goes to you. Let's see. You guys didn't realize I had this much crap in the bag, did you? Alright, so these you guys have probably seen on your TV shows, right? These are pretty much a staple for any kind of ghost hunting, whatever. I use this to debunk a lot of things. So this is a EMF detector. It's going to measure the electricity in the air for us. So Shannon, the only thing I need you to do is tell me what color you're seeing. I already have the colors memorized, so I can kind of see what's going on. Any rhythms or patterns like a pulse, I'm going to omit those right away just so you know it's coming from something man-made. I'll do a lot of debunking with your specific device. Because your job is so easy, you're getting 2. This is obviously a digital camera. I normally don't hand this to teenagers because they don't know what the hell to do with it. So, sorry, I know the 2 of you are teenagers. Now, with that, there's no flash on this. So when you're taking pictures, nice and still. You can take 5, you can take 500. Doesn't matter to me. I'm going to go through every single one of them. I don't care how dark they are. I will lighten them up if I need to. It will stay on all night long. The biggest button all the way to the right is the shoot button. Again, nice and still on the photos, and you are double fisted. The cougar's double fisted, everybody. That was a joke, everyone. I know, right? Keely. Your device is kind of keeping tabs on everybody else's. So, you're a multifunction person, I hope. So, what this guy is going to actually do, it has the same device in it that I just handed over to Shannon, but it is in digital format, and it goes way higher, and it's way more accurate. So again, I use hers to help debunk things. Top number, anything above 2.5, I want to know what's going on with that guy. That's going to be her second green dot, so that's why it's 2.5 and higher. The bottom is ambient temperature. In the event that Sarah finds something on her camera, then you and I are going to figure out where that cold spot is coming from and try to debunk it or prove it right away, because it has an ambient probe right here. Last but not least, it has a motion sensor built into it as well. In the event something gets close to the antenna that I just pulled out, it's going to go off. I'm not touching it right now. I'm touching it now. So different tones, different colors, you and I are going to discuss those at our second stop when we start using it. For now, I just want you to kind of keep an eye on your red screen and get used to how those numbers move around.
You got the right idea.
All right, everybody's geared up, right? Mm-hmm. Good, because I'm out of equipment.
Where are y'all from?
Kentucky.
Okay. Wow.
My
that's been a
sister
long-
goes to college here, so we're just here to visit her.
Okay. Nice.
All right, so we start here for a reason, of course. So with yours, we're going to do some starts and stops with it too. I know the temperature's not